Police are searching for the suspect responsible for fatally shooting 24-year-old Brittany Wicker. At around 6:20 p.m. on Sunday the 12th of November, authorities responded to a home in the 2300 block of South Belmont Avenue in Wichita, Kansas on reports of shots fired. When officers entered the residence, they found Brittany unresponsive with a gunshot wound to her head, and she was pronounced dead at the scene. The Wichita Police Department said that Brittany and the suspect were known to each other, and the shooting was a result of domestic violence. No suspects have been named, and no arrests have been made to date, as the investigation into the matter continues. A woman is behind bars for fatally shooting a homeless man. At around 7:20 a.m. on Tuesday the 7th of November, authorities responded to the 4200 block of East Fountain Way in Fresno, California on reports of shots fired. When officers arrived, they found an unresponsive man laying face down in the parking lot with a gunshot wound to his chest. Medics transported him to Community Regional Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead about 30 minutes later. The victim was identified as 28-year-old Daniel Payan. Investigators said that after speaking with witnesses and reviewing surveillance footage in the area, they determined that Daniel was unhoused and had a confrontation with another person before he was shot. The suspect, who police later identified as 31-year-old Ted Jericho Hall, fled on foot after the shooting. On Friday the 10th of November, officers executed a search warrant at Jericho's residence in Fresno, where she was located and taken into custody. She's charged with murder and remains held at the Alameda County Jail. The investigation into the matter continues. Police are investigating after 27-year-old Tatum Goodwin was found fatally beaten. At around 8:20 a.m. on Sunday the 12th of November, authorities responded to the 200 block of Ocean Avenue in Laguna Beach, California, after a construction worker discovered the woman deceased. When officers arrived on scene, they found Tatum's badly beaten body in an alley behind an old movie theatre and Carmelitas, the restaurant where she worked as an assistant manager for 4 years. On Saturday the 11th of November, Tatum had gone to Hennessy Tavern along Ocean Road with a group of friends after leaving work, and it's also thought that she stopped for a drink at Marine Bar on the opposite side of the street at some point in the evening. Authorities said that Tatum had recently broken up with her boyfriend and appeared to be upset when she left the bar in the early hours. A local resident reported hearing screaming at around 2 a.m. that morning, just over 6 hours before Tatum's body was found. Laguna Beach Police Chief Jeff Calvert said, "We're saddened by this senseless act of violence. Our detectives are working diligently to bring the suspect or suspects to justice. To date, no suspects have been identified and no arrests have been made, as the investigation into the matter continues." On Monday the 13th of November 2023, 43-year-old Dustin Gene Tinklenberg was sentenced to 26 years in prison for murdering his 93-year-old grandmother Stella Anderson with a hatchet in 2022, after earlier pleading guilty to the crime in August of 2023. Dustin had entered a Norgart plea, which allowed Dustin to plead guilty while claiming that he could not recall committing the crime because he was under the influence of meth at the time. At just after 12:30 p.m. on the 13th of September 2022, authorities responded to a residence at 1386 Highway 23 in Ogilvie, Minnesota on reports of finding a deceased woman on the couch. Authorities said the body was discovered by her daughter and at least one other family member, who placed the 911 call. When officers arrived, they entered the home and found Stella deceased with deep cuts to her face. One of the family members told law enforcement they believed Dustin killed his grandmother. Stella's daughter told police that she went to her mother's home earlier that same day and noticed that the home was unusually dark with the blinds closed. She initially thought her mother was taking a nap when she saw her laying on the couch. Her daughter then saw her mother's disfigured face and ran outside to call police. She added that she brought her mother and Dustin to a store a couple of days earlier and everything seemed fine. Two of Stella's great-grandchildren told investigators they went to Stella's home to pick up something from someone camping on the property. While outside the home, one great-grandchild said she heard shouting from inside. Minutes later, she was getting back in her car when she saw Dustin on the deck just outside the house. She said that Dustin seemed upset, noting that his fists were clenched, and was looking over the deck yelling at something. Police found Dustin near the home of a former partner, and he was arrested. During an interview with detectives, Dustin said he was constantly being followed by drones and subjected to multiple surgeries which scarred his body, which he didn't even remember happening. Dustin lifted up his shirt to show the scars. However, there was no scarring observed. He told investigators that he was homeless, but stayed with his grandmother on occasion. He claimed that he was emotional and accused his grandmother of sexually abusing him when he was a boy, further alleging that she continued to harass him as an adult. When confronted with the news that his grandmother had been killed, Dustin told police that she somehow manipulated and altered the bacon he was eating, and he lost it. Authorities also noted that Dustin was seen on multiple prior occasions with a hatchet-type weapon, including the night before Stella's body was found. Authorities said that Stella died from horrific sharp force injuries that included 7 cuts to her head from a tomahawk-type hatchet. Dustin has been held at the Kennebec County Jail since his arrest, and has been credited with 427 days towards a 26-year sentence for time already served behind bars.